Okay. Torah or Miketz. Okay. 86, 4 lines from the end of the page. The Rebbe was explaining the difference between the Mishkan, which was made out of goat skins, animal skins, and plant life, and inanimate. On the other hand, though, the Beis Hamikdash was made only from stone. The Rebbe asked, if dirt is the lowest thing, why is it the only thing that produces? And the answer is because it comes from a higher source. And once the source is revealed, so then the earth, which is the lowest, but originally the highest, like it's a safe ma'aseh b'machshava tchila. So the ultimate goal is the Beis Hamikdash, which is like la'aseh lavei. So therefore the Beis Hamikdash was made from stone, because stone is inanimate, and therefore it comes from the higher source, and that's what the Beis Hamikdash was all about. Okay, so he says now, we see clearly, we see clearly in this level, there's an advantage in the earth over everything else. Which is the level of bittul, that everybody steps on it. Earth is one thing that everybody steps on, which means seemingly it's a level of bittul. And he says, plant, you can't walk in a field that's full of growing things because you can't step on it. It's not shaykh to walk. But earth, and animals for sure you don't step on. So earth is one thing that everybody steps on. What?
Very mature people pray to they pray to the sun.
Yeah, the Arabs, by Avraham Avinu, prayed to the...
because they knew this is higher?
No, because they were bowing to the lowest of the lowest. No, it was in a negative way that they bowed to the... Yeah. So it says, "Bittul," that where does this bittul, that everybody steps on earth, nimsha mitzad sher shan nailu machshava, because of its lofty source in machshava. Sham machshava, what is the level of machshava? Machshava is 2 words. Chashav ma. If you switch around the letters of machshava, you get chashav, thinking, ma of bittul, which is ma is the level of tachlis habittul. Like it says by Moshe Rabbeinu v'nachnu ma, you have the same thing. Chachma is koyach ma. Moshe Rabbeinu said v'nachnu ma. Machshava is chashiv ma. Ma is a level of bittul. So because, like you said before, offered comes some machshava gduma, a higher level of machshava, meaning it comes from a higher level of chashiv ma of bittul. What?
Is there 3 levels of bittul? There's chachma, there's chashiv ma, and malchut?
There's a million different levels of bittul. Generally speaking, chachma is bittul and malchus is bittul.
And not machshava.
Machshava is also bittul. Again, there's a million levels of bittul. You can count every level. But generally speaking, he speaks about koyach and malchus, chachma and malchus, which, by the way, is the highest and the lowest. Misham nimshech mislavish b'chinas bittul ba'aretz, and that level of bittul that exists in the source of earth is what comes into the level of the artist to have bittul, and therefore mitzad zeh, because of this level of bittul, tisala la'aseh lavei lias hateres baila. This is going to become the crown, like he said before. L'chaynaya beis hamikdash me'avanim dafka. Okay. Dafke, the Beis Hamikdash was from Avanim, because the Beis Hamikdash is similar to what will be when Mashiach comes, when we'll see the advantage of Gashmias and earth and so on. Or Kameshakos, and he says in the parentheses now, Kameshakos, Gam Makamach, the Pasik Mizbah, Shulchan Gasbais, the Kacham, the Gemara. Therefore, the Gemara says about Kodesh, Shehechmis, that he soured, meaning he sinned. But Mashachos, if it's even allowed, Bechinas Semech Beis Hamikdash, Nidbak and Dai Evan Galat Talsev and Nidvach to Ad Chadata. And therefore, Kodesh, when he remodeled the Beis Hamikdash, he put plant life into it, to decorate it on the walls. And that was his sin, because the Beis Hamikdash is not supposed to have Tzemeach. Beis Hamikdash is only supposed to be stone. Over Tefillah is the level of Ishtachva Shebeshmat Esrei. Kol Dema Medaka, the level of Daimon. Nesis Tefillah, the level of Daimon. Okay. Mashenki b'Mishkan. On the other hand, the Mishkan wasn't only from Avonim. The Mishkan wasn't at all from Avonim, really. It's made based on the order of the worlds now. That Sameach is like Shemayim Kadmu. Now, the Alter Rebbe explained before, in the argument between Bisham and Beis Hillel, what was created first, Shemayim and Aretz. So in reality, now Shemayim was created before Earth. Why? Because you go from higher to lower. That's the normal routine of life. You go from higher to lower. But L'asad Lavei, Mashenke b'Mishkan, Shenazvi, and the offer is only B'Karka Mishkan. Okay? So now, the Alter Rebbe finished now explaining the difference between the Mishkan, which is according to the world now, not L'asad Lavei, where earth is the lowest, and then plant, and then animal. Mashenke, the Beis HaMikdash, was only from stone. So now the Alter Rebbe is going to connect this to Yosef and Yehuda. Okay? These two levels of Mishkan and Beis HaMikdash is the two levels of Yosef and Yehuda. The level of Tzemeach v'Daimim. Just like Shemayim v'Aretz, basically explained before, is the level of growing. Aretz is the level of inanimate. So he says that's the difference between Yosef and Yehuda. What's Yosef? Yosef means Taisis Ribi, to keep adding. Why was he called Yosef? Rachel called him Yosef because Yosef, Hashem li, Hashem should add another child to me. That's the level of plant life. Plant life keeps growing. That's the level of Yosef. The Haylech Bagdola Vagbala keeps growing higher and higher. That's the level of Tzemeach. And especially the Eres, the cedar tree. Shekad al Va'arach which is keeps going to the highest of levels. Like it says, Tzaddik Hatama Yifrach, a tzaddik will sprout out like a date tree. Which is Zoh of Atzilus, which is called Semeach Legabi Malchus, which is called Daimon. Here the Alter Rebbe is explaining another, same thing but in different words. We have Zoh and Malchus, Kadosh Baruch Hu and Shechina. So we always say every day in davening, or some people say before every mitzvah, L'Shem Yichud Kodesh Baruch Hu Shechintei. This is to unite the level of Kadosh Baruch Hu and Shechina. Kadosh Baruch Hu is the 6 fetus of Atzilus, and Malchus is the level of Shechina, because Shechina it rests in the lowest level, meaning Malchus goes into the next world. So Kadosh Baruch Hu and Shechina represents the level of Yosef and Yehuda. Therefore, Yosef is called Sadik Yesed Elam. Yosef in the Sfiris is called the level of Yesed. Yesed is the 6th of the Sfiris before Malchus. So all the Sfiris go into Yesod, and then from Yesod it goes into Malchus. Malchus is the level of Yehuda, David, Melech, Yisrael, Chai V'Kayim. Malchus is the level of Malchus. So you have, and therefore he says in Kabbalah it says that Zoh, the 6 fetus, which is Midas, keeps growing. So compared to the level of Malchus, which is complete bittul, the 6 fetus keep growing, which is the level of Yosef, because Yosef comes from where he suffered to add. What?
Throughout our 12 Shabbatim, Yosef and Yehuda become behind them. What happened to the others?
Because royalty and leadership was to Yosef and Yehuda. Everyone had its unique thing. But Yehuda is Malchus, and Yosef is a level of Nerekat and Yosef. Yosef is also a leader. But it's a different level. Yosef is the level of Esafa to add, which is the level of Zoh, which is the level of the Mishkan. And Yehuda, he says, is the Eretz Malchus Datzilus, which is the Daim of Atzilus. Therefore, Yehuda is called Heidah Ubitul. Shadaimim, inanimate, has more bittul than anything else because it doesn't grow, it doesn't move, so it's all completely bottled. So he's saying that Yosef and Yehuda is the levels of Hisaf and Sameach, and Yehuda's Bittul. That's why he's going to explain, like we mentioned in more detail to class, that now Yehuda is coming closer to Yosef. Because right now, until Mashiach comes, Hisafa, meaning the level of growing, is what's that way than now, like the Mishkan. It had inanimate, higher than that plant, higher than that animal. So that's the level of Hisafa. La'asad Lavi, in the Haftarah we read that Yehuda is going to come to Yosef. Yosef is going to come to Yehuda, because La'asad Lavi, when the source of everything will be revealed, and we'll see that stone, inanimate, is higher than plant and animal, so then Yehuda is going to be the primary goal. Vine, say that in the chain of worlds now, Yosef will Yehuda. Yosef is higher than Yehuda, because the 6 fetus are higher than Malchus. Plant and animal is higher than inanimate.
You're still in Yosef's area.
Correct, until Mashiach. Because now Malchus sustains itself from the higher 6 fetus. It says in the Kabbalah that Malchus has nothing of its own. That's how Chassidus explains. David HaMelech was supposed to be born dead by Nafla. He was supposed to be born a stillborn. So then Adam Rishon donated 70 years, or Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, different opinions, who donated the 70 years for Adam Rishon to live. Why was David HaMelech supposed to be born dead? Because Malchus has nothing of its own. Malchus only gets what it gets from the higher levels. In other words, for instance, Malchus of Chesed becomes Chesed of Malchus. Malchus of Gvura becomes Gvura of Malchus. So right now, Malchus is the receiving end. It's the receiving end. Why? Because Malchus has nothing of its own. So now, Yosef is sustaining Yehuda. Yosef is the level of Hisafa. So Yosef now is the level of the 6 fetus Kodesh Baruch Hu, and David is the level of Shekhinah, which is the receiving end. Now the giving end is higher than the receiving end. L'chein Yosef haya melech b'Mitzrayim, which is Tzemeach b'chinas Gidl v'Isnasis, v'haya mashbe v'ameshpia l'kulam. Therefore the pasuk says Yosef was sustaining the whole world with sustenance. Who came to receive food from him? Yehuda and the brothers. But Yehuda was the guarantor for, Binyamin. So Yehuda Amakabah. So now Yosef is the giver and Yehuda is the receiver, like normal. Shechin, 6 fetus give, like or now, male gives, female receives. It's the same concept. Vayigash Yehuda. Therefore, Yehuda came closer to Yosef, and he says, Bi'adaini Pirish Bayum Shechashav Mi Yosef Hatzadik. Like it says in the Zohar, the Vayigash of Yehuda is Takruv to Alma Ba'alma. The lower world going to the higher world. It's interesting, when Yehuda came to Yosef, he said in the pasuk, Bi'adaini. Simply it means, please my master. What are you doing here? Be in me. Simply be adeni means please my master. Take an English from be adeni means please my master. But Chassidus explains what Yehuda is saying to Yosef, be into me, give into me my master. In other words, Yosef sustain me, because Yehuda is the receiver. Yeah, well, okay, that whole thing is shook the palace. Whatever. But bottom line is, Yosef is saying to Yehuda, Yehuda is the receiver. Yehuda is saying to Yosef, give me, because I'm the receiver.
Yosef, we are told, I think you told us, that
some Svarim say it was the Arizal, whatever.
He came and gone.
Some people say it was the Arizal.
So the time for Yosef is done.
Yeah, now we're waiting for the next one. Mashiach ben David.
Arizal was Yosef?
That's what some people say, that Arizal Mashiach ben Yosef. Who knows? Who knows? Hainu Alma Tata. Yehuda represents Malchus, which is the lower world. Misyached is Vayigash the Gaba Alma Ilah, which is the level of Zal, Lekabel HaShefa. V'zeh derech Mishkan Tzemech L'mayla Me'adayimim. In other words, now that the Rebbe just explained, now that we know the difference between the Mishkan and the Beis HaMikdash, and now we know the Mishkan runs the way world is running now, that, animal is higher than plant, which is higher than inanimate. So that's the level of Yosef. So now Yosef is the primary giver, so Yehuda is coming to Yosef to receive. Okay, because that's the way the world is now. Avala Sedlava Yisalu Yehuda. But Law Sedlava, when the source of everything will be revealed, and the source of Bittul will be higher than the level of Yosef, the Yisrael Bechinas Yosef. Commissioner Costa, like it says, Eishes Chayal Ateres Baila. Mitzat, the woman of valor will be the crown of her husband. Mitzat Shar Sheisha Ola B'Machshava Tchilu, it's a higher level of Machshava. Because in Machshava, like it said before, is Choshev Ma, Tachas Abittul, which is Chochma Vatzilus Koyach Ma. So he says, so the pearl, bottom line is, La'asid Lavai, Yehuda is going to be higher. Therefore, La'asid Lavai in the Haftarah, when we read last, we didn't read because it was Chanukah. No, we didn't. This was Chanukah. But the Haftarah that we were supposed to read if it wouldn't be Chanukah speaks about, what we're going to read this week. Jumping there. What we're going to read this week in the Haftarah Vayigash speaks about Yosef and Yehuda, and Yehuda will be on top. V'avdi David Nasi Elam, David HaMelech is going to be on a higher level. Because La'asid Lavai, the source of everything will be revealed. The source of Afar will be revealed. By the way, just like Afar reproduces, women reproduce, because now they're on the receiving end also. So therefore, but only them because of their source, which is the higher than the men's, only they can give birth something from nothing versus the man that can't. Because Abba Yosef Brata means the father gives birth to the daughter, meaning Abba is Chochma, Brata is the level of Malchus, but Malchus here at Tata, but Abba Yosef Brata meaning from the level of Yira of Chochma. Nimshachas HaMalchus here at Tata, the lower level. In other words, who causes the bittul in Malchus now? Chochma, which is bittul, causes the bittul in Malchus now. But La'asid Lavai, what?
The fact that we can do more mitzvah and we can do more growth in the Torah because it's a time of Yosef.
Correct.
When Yehuda comes, we cannot grow.
Correct.
So what is that 40 years? They said that when Yehuda comes, there is a 40 years.
No, until Chesed Mason is 40 years. Or the first 40 years, the world will be in the normal state as it was before, except we'll have a Beis HaMikdash and no wars and things like that. No, then we could still do mitzvah. After Chesed Mason, we can't. After Chesed Mason.
Everything gradually happens, right?
What? Yeah, but I'm saying the first 40 years, the world is going to be normal, except we're going to have no wars, we're going to have a Beis HaMikdash and so on. But the supernatural, this essence that Hashem will be revealed is primarily by Chesed Mason. Then you can't grow anymore. Therefore it says when Mashiach comes, now we're going to long back to the Gullus days, we say, then we could have accomplished so much more, and now we can't do it anymore. It's too late. It's like when you get older, you look back at your youth and say, why did I waste it? And what we could have accomplished. But it's gone, or it's too late. What?
Because Chassidus doesn't say that.
What?
Chassidus said any time you could change your whole thing.
Until Chesed Mason.
So any time you could do that.
You could change in a second. That's a lofty level, to undo what's not done. To make done what's undone is much more difficult than to make undone what's done.
Let's do it.
In other words, if you do a negative commandment, so you get, so to speak, spiritually filthy, so then you take a shower, you do tshuva, you clean it off. But to make the undone done, that means if you didn't daven, you didn't do mitzvahs, you blew it. But Chassidus explains there's a level of tshuva that can make the undone done. It's Mr. Rabbi Elazar ben Dodaya tshuva. But that's a super, super level of tshuva. Okay, loss of love to Salah Bechinis Yira Tata. And loss of love, this lower level will be elevated into Yiri law. Then it will be Ateres Baila. Ki abetu l'mayla b'madrega ma'avavir the midas that come from Chesed Gvur. Because now, the midas, the 6 midas are basically Ava, Yira, Chesed, Gvur, right? Like Dr. Rebbe says in Tanya, Chesed and its offshoots, Gvur and its offshoots, right? Ava and its offshoots. So now the 6 spheres basically refer to Ava and Yira. So over there you can grow and you can do things. But now it's much greater than the level of Bittul. But ultimately Bittul is greater than Ava V'Yira. Ava V'Yira. Gam Ashav Yesh Bar B'chinas HaBittul Yosef. U'Bittul D'Yira Ilah. B'chinas Madreges Moshe Rabbeinu V'Shom V'Nachnu Ma. And Moshe Rabbeinu is the ultimate level of Bittul of Yira Ilah. The Moshe Rabbeinu was ultimate level of Yira. So V'Nachnu Ma. What? No, he's saying in the level of Ma, Bittul, Moshe Rabbeinu said, V'nachnu ma. Because Moshe Rabbeinu was Chochmah Vatzilus. Avram, Yitzchok, and Yaakov were Chesed, Gvur, and Teferes of Vatzilus. Ava, V'Yir, and Rachmim, right? Moshe Rabbeinu is a higher level. He's a level of Chochmah. So it's a much higher level of Bittul. But Chochmah is Koyach Ma. Therefore, Moshe Rabbeinu said, V'nachnu ba. What are we? But the ultimate Bittul is in Malchus, which has absolutely nothing of its own, and that's the ultimate level of Bittul. And that level of Bittul will be revealed when Mashiach comes. Because the more Bittul you have, the more you exist. What means is as follows.
You create ability.
We just no. If I'm bottled to Hashem, I become part of Hashem, which is the real essence. As long as it's me, then it's not bittul to Hashem, so I'm becoming less. The more I exist, the further away I am away from Hashem. And Hashem is the real only existence, right? The true existence. Was, is, and will be. So the more I'm full of myself, the more distant I am away from Hashem. The more nothing I am, that means the more I am close to Hashem. I'm more one with Hashem through Bittul. So when you're one with Hashem, you're the real entity. In other words, let's speak in a practical way for a second. Not Bittul doesn't mean you disappear. Moshe Rabbeinu with Chochmah Vatzilus, the ultimate level of Bittul, he existed in a body. I'll explain in a second. In order to accomplish something, the more, in other words, like this, Bittul doesn't mean I'm a nothing, 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 and I better not say anything, I better not do anything because I'm worthless. That's an idiot. Okay? Bittul means there's a cause that exists. And that cause, the mission of the cause has to be fulfilled. So the more dedicated I am to the cause, the less I think what people are going to say about me or think about me. I don't care. A person who cares about himself cares what people think about him. Okay? And you have a mission to accomplish. That's not public opinion. You know, it's not something that is popular. Yeah? So then people are going to come out against you. So if I care about myself, my own existence, yeah, I'm going to care about it, and therefore I won't do what I need to get done because I care about myself. But if you're so dedicated and devoted to the cause, then you don't care about yourself. Then you get the job done. Like we said many times, it's such an Avedis Hashem, it's unbelievable. I don't know if it was a basketball team or soccer, whatever it was a sports team, that the coach was really getting down on them. And they said, come on, take it easy already. He says, you know when I'll take it easy? When the name on the back is the same name as the front. You know, in the back you have your own private name on the uniform, right? The front is the team logo, and the back is your personal name. He says, you know when I'm going to stop? When the back and the front is the same thing, meaning there's no you, there's the team. In order for a team in sports to win, it's Vayigash Hashem. In order for us, because we're all fighting a battle, right, against another team called the Yetzer Hara, but whatever. So, as long as we're not completely bottled to Hashem, you're never going to win, because you're only interested in yourself. My glory, my fame, my name, But a person who's bottled, on the contrary, bittul doesn't mean you're not going to do anything. Bittul means you're going to do more. Because there's a cause that you're so devoted to, you don't care about yourself, and therefore not you're going to do less, you're going to do more. Because you really don't care what people think. That's a merindica thing, but the Alter Rebbe is speaking about ma bittul. Bittul doesn't mean walking around like an idiot, I'm a nobody, why should I do something? I'm a nothing anyway. It doesn't really matter. That's a fool. That's not what?
Most of the discussion, it seems to be in the context of people who are essentially very spiritual and disengaged from mundane matters.
No, not at all.
All the examples and everything else, it doesn't really take into consideration the obligation that people have for the ones who are dependent on them.
That's the cause. That's a cause. That's a mission. If a person is, let me explain to you, that's not true. When a person is making a living, yes, he wants to make a living, he wants to support a family. Everybody does, okay? What is the ultimate purpose of making that parnasa and making a living and and supporting a family? That's where the bottom line is the big difference. But this exists by all of us. A person has to make a living, correct? But the question is, what is the purpose of all that? If the purpose is to live like a Jew, to raise a family like a Jew, to live like a Jew, then that making a living, that's what Torah teaches us, and especially according to Chassidus, that is serving God just like davening and learning. Because again, there's a mission, godliness in the world. Now that is done by learning, by davening. It's done by making a living. It's done by raising a family. It's done by doing mitzvahs. It's all one mission. So it doesn't matter. You don't have to be talking about tzaddikim. It's talking about each one of us. Now we're not Moshe Rabbeinu, but I'm saying on a certain level, if each one of us realizes at a certain point, if I'm making a living, let's say to raise a family, then making a living can contradict being there for my family. The problem is when people want to make so much money that it's at the family expense, right? Because then they're not spending time with the family. Then I didn't say necessarily. I'm saying if that's what happens, that's not good. I didn't. Why? I'm saying if a person is raising a family properly, then the making a living is the cause. The external will. I want to make a living, but the real will is to raise a family to be proper human beings, even for a guy, to be a proper human being. So then, making a living itself is serving Hashem. Just like davening and learning. Because that mission that you need to accomplish, bringing godliness in the world, is done by all these prerequisites to make it finally happen. Oh wow.
Mundane matters.
I went over time. That's a big sin.